What we can see on this picture is a street scene photographed on the junction of the Northwich Road and the Stamford Road at some time during the 1960s. The traffic is mild, the weather is nice, the skyline is still free of skyscrapers, and there's one clear dominant building on the right side of the picture. The building is nowadays called the Capitol Building, at that time known as the Shaw Building. We can see a few big boards attached to the building with the names of new movies screened there at that time. The building looks significant and lively. We might guess it to be a landmark of the area. But how was the feeling of the building changing throughout its history, and what is it like nowadays? What is the story of the building? The construction of the Capitol Theatre as the first part of the structure was started in 1929 and the whole Capitol building was completed in 1933. Also because of its appearance, the building immediately became a landmark of the civic and cultural district. Even nowadays, the curved corner of the Capitol building with the concave facade and convex portico is considered to be the one of Singapore's most architecturally distinctive street corners. But the significance of the building wasn't only architectural. An article in the Straits Times, published on the occasion of the Capitol Theatre's opening, called the opening an epoch-making event in the history of the theatrical and the cinema world of Malaya. Besides movie screenings, the theatre was also a venue for cabaret performances, and the Capitol building itself had plenty of shops and restaurants on the ground floor and offices on the second to fourth floor. The variety of activities taking place in the building was very wide. After the World War II, the whole building was bought by the Shaw organization. Capitol Building was renamed to Shaw Building, Capitol Theatre was renamed to Capitol Cinema, and both of them went through a few other changes, such as the introduction of the Capitol Restaurant and the famous Blue Room that used to serve as a refuge for local bands. Both of the newly established venues hosted various and often unusual events. In the 1960s, the famous Zodiac mosaic and the pair of maidens on white unicorns were installed and quickly became the legendary symbols of the cinema, increasing the visual significance of the whole building. During that time, the building became even more iconic. Since the end of the war, it gradually became a place of social gatherings and events and also of various street performances taking place before the movies were screened. In 1984, the future of the building began to be uncertain when the Capitol Cinema was earmarked for urban redevelopment, but the Shaw organization still operated it on a temporary license. Following strong competition with the multiplex trend of other cinemas, it inevitably closed in December 1998 and was returned to the government. After a few years of being left abandoned, the building was given a conservation status in 2007 and the reconstruction of the building began in 2010. It is going to be reopened again in April 2015 as a part of 542,000 square feet integrated development project called Capitol Singapore. The whole development should comprise a luxury hotel, an upmarket mall, high-end residences and also the Capitol Theatre with close to 1,000 seats. The question that we could raise at this point is, could the spirit of the place be also restored again? Architecturally, it also used to be an iconic landmark of the area. Nowadays, the continuous development in the surroundings throughout the past years brought completely new high-rise buildings as well as whole new skylines around the area. The junction is busy and noisy, and just across the street there is a huge complex of Raffles City. We would expect that the landmark status of the building will fade away under the pressure of all the new sites around, but the opposite is true. The building still catches the eyes of passerbys and still provides a notable contrast with the surrounding modernity, a whiff of the past that is always pleasant to see. People stop to look, tourists are taking photographs. Architectural importance of the building still remains unquestionable, and the new redevelopment will probably only add to its visual attractiveness. What still remains questionable is the social and also cultural importance. The new building should be melding old and new, fitted with one of the Southeast Asia's largest single screens and state-of-the-art sound systems. It will become Singapore's first dual-purpose theatre with both cinematic and theatrical capabilities. And an implemented rotational floor system will allow a complete transformation of the inner space in less than 8 minutes. The Vice Chairman and President of Perennial Real Estate Holdings stated that the restoration of Capitol Theatre to its original splendor, coupled with its multifunctional event hosting capabilities, will endorse its status as one of the finest performing arts and cinema venues in Singapore. But is the expensive reconstruction enough to restore the original feeling of the place as it was? It used to be a place for people of all ages, of various social backgrounds, of various interests. The unique feeling of the place, comprising so many different purposes throughout its history, from the shops in the passages through a teenager hangout to the actual cinema hall, might be lost and replaced by an expensive yet soulless development. It is probably too early to tell, since the construction is not even finished yet, and it will surely take some time for the new building to show whether the radical recreation of the place was a good move or not. We can only believe that it was.